Hello, and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, strategies, and insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today I'm very lucky to be joined by Marton Varo of Brandefy. How's it going, Martin?
It's going good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being on. And Martin, I would love to just understand a little bit more about your background and a little bit more about Brandify.
Sure. So I'll start with Brandefy. So Brandefy, we started Brandefy in 2011, and we're about 14 years in at this point, not to date the episode or anything, but I think things are going well. So we're a full service video production, video marketing agency. We started off with doing more broadcast style work back towards between 2011 and 2018, and then started progressing more into the online world where social media became more the go-to for our clients. That's what our focus has been the last few years and especially now. But in a nutshell, we're a full service agency. We do everything from ideation and conceptualizing and strategy all the way through the entire production process and post-production process. So essentially, we're a turnkey video production team.
It's awesome. What brought you to starting Brandify?
Back in the day, I did the whole film school route. I went through proper film school and graduated with a film degree, which, depending on what you do with it, it only gets you to so far. So anyhow, out of film school, I got a couple really great opportunities to actually get into the production world. So I do feel fortunate and lucky in that way. I was a producer in a couple of features, a bunch of music videos and shorts for the first few years out of film school. And then eventually realized that there's a whole other world out there that could utilize my skills and what I knew about storytelling and the production world, but
Mm,
also make it potentially more lucrative in that I'm not always out chasing independent financing for this indie project or that indie project, but actually go into a world where there is funding available for creative projects, but
yeah.
with more of a promotional or advertising or marketing spin. The thing I like about that is obviously the short turnaround time for projects, short form content, you're in and out. Whereas with the independent film world, you're spending literally years of your life on a project. So it just made more sense to go into a world where it was more sustainable as a long-term career.
Yeah.
And that's what made me start Brandify.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And so you've worked with Hollywood legends like Leonard Schrader and Dan O'Bannon. And I'm curious, how has that cinematic background influenced how you approach brand storytelling today?
They're both extremely story-oriented guys. And for context, if you don't know who Dan O'Bannon is, I'm sure most people out there are at least familiar with the Alien film franchise. So that was his baby. And working closely with those guys, you get a very strong sense of what storytelling is all about, what it should and what it should look like and what it can look like when done properly. Working with those guys really just set my mind on story first. So a lot of people, especially back in film school, you tend to fall into this, what's the word I'm looking for? It's more glamour over a substance kind of thing,
Yeah.
where you want to make everything look cool, but when at the end of it, what's the story? What does it all mean? Why do we
Yeah.
care? Those guys really just drilled into me the importance of approaching everything from a story first perspective of everything you do has to have some sort of a motivation or some reason for you to care enough to continue watching. With Brandify, that really helped me realize that every business out there does have a story to it. It's not just there to exist just for the sake of existing, but every business has a backstory. They're there for a reason, and when you dig into it, there's something interesting there. And if
Yeah.
you approach it properly, you can bring that out and hopefully create something that people will care enough to connect with that business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And you can totally tell when you go flash over substance. Like you see it in TV shows and
All the
movies
time.
and commercials. When people don't put that story first, and it's so easy to tell, and they almost never do well. And story has been one of the longest standing things, like principles in human history, the power of story.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm glad that you not only emphasize that, but you were influenced early on by some greats in Hollywood to
Yeah,
help you.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely feel fortunate for having that
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah. Now, to dive a little bit deeper into story, you've said that powerful storytelling should be accessible to all businesses, not just Hollywood. So I'm curious, what are some tangible ways that smaller brands can achieve big screen emotional resonance on maybe some tighter budgets?
Yeah, so especially with social media being what it is, there's a lot of low budget opportunities and low budget ways to go there. So we never try to push high budget ideas over low budget ideas just for the sake of making the project bigger. But so the way we approach everything, we start everything with a creative brief and a kickoff call with our clients. So we really get to know them. We really want to understand and learn their backstory, their why, the famous why you do what you do. So once we do that, kind of helps us. It informs our creative team in terms of coming up with concepts. So we always want to understand where our clients are at in terms of their, first of all, how long they've been in business, what kind of business they're doing, what their means are. So we tailor every project to our clients' means. If they can't afford a higher budget production, great. We'll give them a higher budget production with all the production values and visuals that come along with that. But to answer your question, you do have to have some understanding of story, whether that's working internally with your team to really dive deep into what your story is, what your why is, why you do what you do, and what it is that you want to convey, what emotions you want to convey. That's cool. Or you can bring in an outside consultant, an outside production team, whoever that is a quote unquote professional in storytelling, and
Mhm.
have them figure out that storyline for you and work with you to figure out what story beats you want to bring out, what emotions you want to bring out, and then how you go about doing that. So you can
Mhm.
go about it on your own, you can work with your team, or you can bring in somebody whose job it is to actually tell a story and work with you on that. But
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is it doesn't necessarily have to be a big budget production or big budget effort. So you can
Yeah.
do these on the cheap, you can do them at whatever point you are in your business.
Yeah. And I think that brands have this tendency, especially smaller brands, have this tendency to overestimate the power that like this like high-end production, big budget like video will do on social versus like people us having we do media buying and we place media on socials all the time. And I can tell you the content that's native to the platform does so much better than like this high-end like those commercials that you see on TV don't work on social. It's a different platform. People aren't on there to watch commercials. There's this inherent understanding when you sit and watch a game or like public cable television or whatever, that you're going to see some commercials. So at the very least, you want to see something entertaining, high-end, whatever. And on social, you're there to connect with people. You're there to consume content. So that stuff never does as well. And I think that like you're the superpower for a lot of these smaller brands is the fact that they don't have a smaller budget, is the fact that they can just pull out their phone. And if they have an idea, they can shoot that and send that out to the world. And it will probably do way better than if they had spent all this money on creative just to place on social. And I speak on social specifically, but at the same time, the principles of storytelling, what we've talked about, still stay like relevant, right?
No, completely. And I do think that's a very common mistake that a lot of bigger, especially bigger brands make, but they'll make one piece of content and then they'll just assume it's going to do well on all platforms, equally well on all platforms, and they can just throw it out there. They'll put like a horizontal video on a vertical platform.
Yeah.
And without just completely ignoring the fact that those platforms do have, like you said, their own specifics and specific requirements for how to make a successful video on that platform.
Sure.
So, yeah, I do think that's really important to play to the platform that you're actually advertising on.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin, this has been awesome. I've loved learning more about your agency, the emphasis that you have on storytelling. And I checked out the website. Some of the projects you've done are amazing. Where can people learn more about you? Where can people learn more about Brandify?
Easiest place is brandefy.com, brandefy.com. A lot of people initially want to spell it with an IFY at the end. I get it. It wasn't available, unfortunately. So yeah, just brandefy.com. We're also on all the socials, but the website has all the links to the socials. It has more about me, more about our projects and our team, and we're very easy to get a hold of on there.
Sounds great. Awesome. Thank you again for being on the podcast.
Thank you.